Welcome to Emma's Faith Diaries. So we're back in 1 Samuel chapter 7. We were at the end of chapter 6 and now we're into mid chapter 7. So we'll start at verse 7 and we'll read some of the scriptures here. Stuff stuck in my hair. So we'll start, let's see. Yes, so Samuel had got all of the Israelites together at Mizpah. So they're all praying and doing what Samuel's saying. And it says in verse 7, when the Philistine rulers heard that Israel had gathered at Mizpah, they mobilised their army and advanced. The Israelites were badly frightened when they learned that the Philistines were coming and approaching. So then they said to Samuel, "Don't stop pleading with the Lord our God to save us from the Philistines," they begged Samuel. So Samuel took a young lamb and offered it to the Lord as a whole burnt offering. He pleaded with the Lord to help Israel, and the Lord answered him. So maybe you're that person that is doing all the praying, is calling on the Lord to help for other people, on behalf of other people. And it says that Samuel took a young lamb and offered it to the Lord. So there's a sacrifice. There might have to be a sacrifice made in your life, your time, fasting for that person, constantly praying, helping support them, being there for the things that they need whenever they need it. But there has to be a sacrifice, and it says in the Bible that we are a living sacrifice. So we are to give of ourselves to pray on behalf of people. It's intercession, really. And as it says in 10, just as Samuel was sacrificing the burnt offering, the Philistines arrived to attack Israel. But the Lord spoke with a mighty voice of thunder from heaven that day, and the Philistines were thrown into such confusion that I think it says in another translation, they turned on themselves, and the Israelites defeated them. The men of Israel chased them from Mizpah to a place below Beth Kar, slaughtering them all along the way. And then it goes on to say that Samuel took a large stone, so he rose up a memorial to the Lord for helping save Israel in this time. And they called it Ebenezer, which means the stone of help, or up to this point the Lord has helped us. So they're recognising the Lord. So whenever you're praying and you get the breakthrough and you're sacrificing your time, your spirit, you're calling on the Lord on behalf of these other people, whatever that might be, for your family, a loved one, a friend, a child, a son or a daughter, your spouse, your mum, your dad, whatever it is that's going on, and you're interceding and you're praying and you're sacrificing your time, you're fasting, you're setting aside time to go and call on God on behalf of these people. You're doing it for them, not because of our works, but because you recognise the order that God works in, and that he needs to be asked for these things. And he hears the prayers of those that love him. He does. And Samuel was a mighty prophet of God, probably the best prophet of God. And he didn't say, "No, let me think about that, give me a few days, let me weigh this up, let me see." No, he went. He had mercy. He had mercy for the Israelite people, and he advised them and told them what they needed to do. But and they listened, but then they also asked of him, "Do this, can you do this for us?" Because we know that they basically knew that Samuel was such a prophet of God. It says not one word come out of his mouth fell to the ground. So they trusted that Samuel was in touch with God, that God knew him and God worked through him. And this is what sometimes we have to be as well, not because we're special, but because the Spirit of God works within us, dwells within us. And God recognises that because we're willing to go and to sacrifice time, energy, money, fasting, prayer, just whatever it is that you need to sacrifice for these people. And then whenever God gives you that breakthrough, because he did, time and time again we read in the Old Testament hundreds of stories about this happening and God coming through. And it actually says here, just as that sacrifice was being made. So this might be what's going on in your life as well. You're sacrificing, and just at that time you could be on your hands and knees praying, and you don't know what's going on in the spirit world. You have no idea, but you're obedient. Samuel's obedient and goes and does what he needs to do. And then just at that time, a massive earthquake came while Samuel was sacrificing, and they had breakthrough. And that could be what you're doing as well. You're praying, and just at that time when you're sacrificing, that breakthrough will come, and like a mighty roar, like a mighty thunder. And I don't know who's listening to this, but that could be what you're waiting on in your life. And I don't know why God brought me to these scriptures now, and I'm waiting for a breakthrough in my life, and I just claim this for myself, Lord, that breakthrough is coming. You didn't show me these scriptures for no reason, that there's going to be a mighty roar of thunder, and that breakthrough will come, and it'll be because God decided that was the time. And after that, what we see is Samuel sets up a memorial and names it and recognises it. And sometimes this is what we have to do in our lives. We recognise it when a breakthrough, and we remember those times that God comes through for us. We put up a memorial, and you go put that in your memory bank, and every time something comes, the devil's trying to lie to you about how God's not helping you and this and that. No, devil, no negative thoughts in my mind. God helped me this time, this time, this time. And that is a memorial and a witness, and that is a testimony to God of how he saves and helps and heals and gives breakthrough for his people. And you keep refreshing that, and you keep celebrating that in your life, because that's what Samuel done. Set up a memorial and celebrated the breakthrough that God gave Israel. But have to remember these things in the Bible, not just for a story. We should be applying these to our life, and that's when we should be thinking about. There's multiple times Joshua set up a memorial, stones, the 12 stones, boulders under trees, things like that. There, loads of memorials, loads of times where to sit and to contemplate God's goodness and how he had a breakthrough and remember those times. But then there's verses on down, and I just wanted to speak about that, and it's in down into 13, 14 and probably 15, and it's about how God then restored Israel along with all of these other things, land. So the Philistines had taken land, was it Ekron and a couple of other cities there that had taken the Israelite land. God restored them to their land again, give them it back. And it said, for all the time that Samuel served as a prophet. This blew my mind. For all the time, God was so faithful to Samuel and the Israelites because he honoured God. And it said, in those days Samuel continued as Israel's judge for the rest of his life. For the rest of his life. Each year he travelled around like an evangelist, judging all these different towns, but he came back and would sacrifice at Ramah, wherever he lived. But the verses before that, it says that Israel had quiet on all sides. It says that Philistines never overruled Israel again. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. So God declares peace, no more fighting over land. And that can be the same in our lives. When you're waiting for a breakthrough, and after that breakthrough you set up a memorial, you thank the Lord for it, you remember his goodness, you take note, you really take note, you really think about it. You might even want to make that a day of celebration in your life. That is the day God broke through for me, and remember that date. But after, the promises that God gives Samuel and the Israelites are the same for us. He will give you peace between, I don't know if it's families, because these cities can represent other nations, and nations can be like your family, or different families maybe that are fighting between each other. But God will give you peace on all sides. Give you peace with the Amorites, He'll give you peace with people that you had maybe been contention with before, and He'll restore you to your proper land. The same as the verses in Joel. And I will restore what the locusts that he had sent, God had sent, the devouring locusts. Restore those days back to you. So don't worry. You might be thinking to yourself, all this arguing, all this, we just need a breakthrough. And look much time we've wasted going through all of this in our lives. But the Lord will restore. The Lord will give you peace. And He'll give you back the time that you think you've lost, that the locusts are stealing from you, whatever that might be. And I just pray whoever's listening to this, that this makes sense. That you need to read these scriptures and you need to confess these over your life. Lord, like you did with Samuel. And he prayed to you that you hear your people, that you restored Israel, you'll restore my life, you'll restore my lands. Things have been taken from me that are rightfully mine, that you give me and you bless me with. And that you will give me peace with anybody that I have contention with, whether it's family, friends, whatever, job, workplace. And that you restore me to those things, Lord, that you will give me my time back, and that it'll be like in Haggai, the latter house will be far better than the former house, and the temple, the former temple. And those promises, you need to start speaking those promises over your life. You need to believe the word of God, and you need to declare them, and you need to hold on to them, because He's not a God that He lies. He doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today and tomorrow. So whatever He's done for His people back then, He will do again for His people now. And that's what I pray. Lord, restore all the things that have been taken on me, the time I've wasted, the time I've been away in my sin, that you've restored me to health and to peace, and that everything that I walk in is what you've declared and decreed for my life, and I accept it. So go and check those verses out in 1 Samuel chapter 7. Who doesn't want peace? Who doesn't want prosperity? And I don't just mean finances, I mean joy, love, peace, just calmness in your life, in your head. Restored relationships between family. Yeah, they're all the good things. And who doesn't want breakthrough? Who doesn't want God to show up and show out for them? Like a mighty thunder, that no one could actually say that it was of man. That was all God. It was all God that done it for you. That's what I pray for, because God's going to do it better. If I do, it's going to be wicked. So I hope those verses have encouraged someone. Because they encouraged me when I read them. I always say, Lord, what are you trying to say to me? And I believe that's what He's saying through those verses. He can do it for the Israelites, and just exactly how He done it, He can do it for us. If you're willing to sacrifice, God will do a breakthrough. In prayer, sacrifice in prayer. Samuel prayed and prayed and prayed. And just at that hour when he was sacrificing and praying, the thunder roared. And of course we know the ultimate sacrifice is Jesus. So it's already been and done. We can declare that as well, Lord, the sacrifice that you have done on the cross has brought healing to my family, has brought restoration to my family. You took every stripe, and that sacrifice has already been made. Otherwise, we'd start getting into works, and then we'd start to claim it was something that we had done. We always remember the ultimate sacrifice. The Lord wants us to pray for people. Don't let them be overrun by the Philistines, the filthy Philistines. Plenty of them still knocking about, isn't there? So that's the teaching for today. Hope you got something out of that. And God has given me a few more verses. He woke me during the night with other things. I'm going to keep reading them and see what God's saying about them, and hopefully get them out to you soon.